Today, we're going to look at 21st century conflict through a totally different lens. I want you to forget what you think you know about modern warfare, because it turns out the most powerful weapons today might not be what you expect at all.
This quote right here, it gets straight to the point. It's a really powerful and frankly chilling idea. What if the lack of basic resources isn't just an accident of war, but a calculated, deliberate tactic?
And this isn't just a theory. In so many of the world's most fragile places, this is the new reality. Being able to control a water pump, or a power line, or a simple food delivery, well, that's become just as decisive as holding a military checkpoint.
Okay, so how does this actually happen? How does something like environmental stress get twisted and turned into a tool of coercion? Let's break down the mechanics.
The term for this is weaponized scarcity, and it's so important to get this distinction right. This isn't just about a drought or a flood causing a shortage. No, this is about powerful actors, governments, militias, you name it, actively creating and managing that shortage to control people.
So the next time you hear about a siege or a blockade, remember this. The human suffering isn't just collateral damage. It's the entire point. The goal is to make survival so incredibly difficult that people are just forced to submit. It literally turns their desperation into a political tool.
And what makes this so incredibly dangerous is that it's not a one-time thing. It's a vicious cycle that just feeds on itself, getting worse and worse over time. Let's walk through how that process actually unfolds.
You can pretty much break it down into 4 steps. First, you get a climate shock, say a massive drought, that hits an already vulnerable area. Then, step 2. Armed groups or corrupt officials take that natural scarcity and turn it into a system of control. Third, society just starts to come apart at the seams as people have to make these impossible choices just to survive. And finally, that fragility creates a feedback loop, making the whole region even more vulnerable to the next shock, and on it goes.
This brings us to a term you hear a lot in security circles, threat multiplier. The idea is pretty simple. Climate change doesn't necessarily invent whole new reasons for people to fight. Instead, it's like pouring gasoline on existing fires. It makes old tensions over things like land or water or political power just explode.
So you have to ask, why doesn't the cycle stop? Well, and here's the most cynical part of all this, because for some people, it's profitable. Think about it. For a warlord who's taxing every water delivery, or an official getting rich off black market fuel, a real solution is actually bad for business. Scarcity itself has become the asset.
And again, this isn't just theory. This is happening right now, all over the world. It's transforming entire regions into battlefields that are defined not by who holds what territory, but by who has access to life's most basic essentials.
You can see this playing out everywhere. In Yemen, long-standing water shortages are now being exploited through brutal sieges. In Sudan, it's a double whammy, blocking humanitarian aid while using gold mining to pay for the war. In Gaza, critical infrastructure, water plants, power grids, they become direct military targets. And all across the Sahel, you see climate change just fueling these ancient disputes between farmers and herders over land and water.
The common thread in all these places points to a massive shift in how we need to think. We have to stop seeing resource shortages as just a setting for a conflict. More and more, the fight to control those resources is the conflict itself.
And get this very same logic is about to go global. The shift to green energy, it needs huge amounts of minerals like cobalt and lithium. And while these minerals hold the promise of a cleaner future, they also run the risk of becoming the new conflict minerals, fueling the exact same cycles of violence we've just been talking about.
I mean, just think about that for a second. The global demand for green tech, for our phones and electric cars, could end up accidentally financing the very instability we all want to avoid. That supply chain could literally start in a mine that's controlled by an armed group. Okay, so this all paints a pretty bleak picture, I know. But it brings up the most important question of all. Is this cycle just inevitable? Or are there actual ways to fight back and break it?
Well, thankfully, there is a path forward. But it's going to require a radically new way of thinking about how we make peace. It's an approach called climate-smart peacebuilding. What's so amazing about this approach is just how practical it is. We're talking about writing ceasefires that don't just say, stop shooting, but that explicitly protect water pipes, or creating pre-planned safe passage for engineers to go in and fix a power plant. It means making sure peace deals don't just divide up political power, but that they also create clear rules for sharing land and mineral wealth. It's a whole new playbook for diplomacy.
You see, this demands a huge shift in our mindset.
Lasting stability, it doesn't just come from signing a political agreement. It comes from making sure the basic systems that people rely on to survive are working, are protected, and are governed fairly for everyone.
And that right there is the ultimate takeaway. This isn't just about cleaning up the mess after a war is over. It's about preventing the next one from ever starting. Managing our resources wisely and fairly, that is conflict prevention.
So, we're left with this final question. Scarcity is going to be a defining reality of the 21st century. There's no escaping it. The real choice we face is this. Are we going to let it be used as a weapon to divide and control us, or are we going to see it as a reason to build smarter, more cooperative systems that actually bind us together? The answer to that is going to define the future of peace and security for all of us.